Hey friends, and welcome back to the Spark Spotlight series, where we talk to creators, makers, and entrepreneurs about what lights them up. Today, I am so excited to have a conversation with Destin George Bell, the founder, YouTuber, NPA 2K connoisseur, and I'm really excited to have a conversation with him about being a Venture for America entrepreneur and fellow. We're going to talk a little bit about NFTs and what that means for like creator business, and also what it's like to be kind of like starting a YouTube channel while doing so many other projects, and what it's kind of like to still be a small YouTuber in today's day and age where like being a creator is becoming more mainstream. So with that said, Destin, welcome to Spark Spotlight.
I'm so glad to be here. Wow. I can probably tell my mom I made it. I love it.
All right, man. You're a good sport. So, yeah. Full disclosure to the audience, Destin and I were just chatting a little bit beforehand. So we've done a little bit of pre-work here. But Destin, for people who don't know, talk to the people about who you are, your story, your background. Talk a little bit about, Bucket Patrol, the kind of the apps, your time in entrepreneurship. Just like tell us a story.
Yeah, for sure. So just like anybody who's interested in entrepreneurship, it really was something innately I felt like I was just drawn to as a kid. When I was younger, my mom, she was a event planner, DJ, pretty much anything around events. She would find a way to monetize that bad boy. Yeah. And I remember I was 9 and I'm the son. Even though I was 9, I was not really a bodybuilder. I was a gopher. I carried all the heavy equipment. I moved the stuff. I got dirty, got under the stages and stuff like that to clean up and grab wires, move speakers, all those kind of things. And it was hard work. It was very hard work, but I saw how happy she was and how much she loved it. And we weren't making a ton of money. Like we weren't, $1 million operation or anything like that. But every day, whether it was a high school prom, it was a wedding, it was some kind of event of any kind, she just so ecstatic about it and went into it with so much passion and energy. And then on the flip side, my dad was never really into his job, and he would come home, he would complain about it or not talk about it at all. And as a kid, you really don't understand the specifics of what's going on, but you can feel the emotion behind stuff. You can feel where the energy is, and you're drawn to energy. You're drawn to passion. Kids are energetic people, and they love stuff like that. And so from that point on, this idea of being an entrepreneur, which I didn't even really know entrepreneurship. I didn't know anything about the word itself. I thought it was just hustling. That's what I'd always heard it called, and that's what I thought it was until I got older. But I was just so ecstatic about it. When I got into high school, I started selling candy. So I would go and buy a 52 pack of candy for like $25, sell them for $1 each, make a quick $27, reinvest the profits, and just do that over and over again. That was my first real, hustling LLC to make some money to buy sneakers and a whole bunch of things I didn't really need. Beyond that, I would ghostwrite my friends. I had a lot of friends who were rappers, and I was always a good writer. So I would ghostwrite raps for them. I would help people with their homework. I would shovel snow, cut grass, clean gutters, anything anybody would pay me for. I would find a way to be able to offer some value and utility in it, just because I was just trying to find a way to make money. And I knew from a young age I hated jobs, because I knew from the jobs I had in high school, man, I have a problem with authority.
This is something I find so fascinating, is like people like you and me too, right? Like we say that we hate jobs, but we do so much fucking work.
But see, here's my thing.
To not have a job,
but it's a passionate level of work versus required work. Like there's something that I do with love, and there's something I do for necessity. Like to me, working a 9 to 5 is a slave labor type of 40 hours. But then for me, putting in 60 to 80 on a passion project that I control, that I have the autonomy in, that I can truly say with my own 2 hands, I've built this. It is so much more empowering. It doesn't even feel like work sometimes. Like I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, I unwind from work by doing more work. Not always. Sometimes I do, depending on how,
I was literally explaining that to my girlfriend two nights ago. I was like, sometimes I took a day off today. Sorry, not to cut you off. I'm just like, I'm riffing here, but no worries. But I took a day off today. Right. Really, it was we had to take my dog to the vet, and so it was let's walk around Target and do all these things. And I told my girlfriend, I was like, this is really relaxing, because I feel like I have meetings scheduled, so I'm still being productive today. I've still made something, right? Whether it's a new connection or whatever, this recording. but it was still like I took a break. I didn't work the full day, whatever. But it's this need, right, of like wanting to unwind in a sense by producing, by making stuff. Sorry, that was just a little diatribe.
Yeah, for sure. I'm the same way. Like for me, a day off is like me working on some of my 2K content, or I have this page. I have an Instagram. Me and my roommate, we have a page where we just make like videos of us having shenanigans or talking about stuff. Talking about we give each other SWOT analysis and stuff like that. And I just like making content. And content is my way of unwinding. So I just make videos, TikToks, random
TikTok.
skits,
I was about to say
like
we can get into it.
we can get into it. But so anyway, through high school, I was doing that kind of stuff. Getting to college, this is when I started my first government recognized company, where I started a marketing company where I worked with brands, helping them with lead gen and engagement with college students in my college town. Went to the University of Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky. And so, a lot of kids there, obviously 30,000 students if you count graduates. A lot of them don't really know much about Lexington because most of them aren't from there. And and they genuinely don't know what places are out there. And then on that top of that, we're broke, so we can't afford it. And so on the flip side, these companies obviously want us to spend our money with them, and they want to also increase the brand awareness and have people know about them and get them through the door, online shopping, or whatever it is that their product is. And so I built a multi-sided platform where I broker transactions and took a piece off the top, 10% here, 15% there, 30 here. I was working with brands like Breakout Games, Sky Zone, Lyft, different companies like that. And that was when I got my start. It was my first company. We had about 5,000 transactions, did about $12,000 in revenue. So not anything world breaking. I'm not a millionaire. I didn't IPO. I didn't get acquired. But it was like a 2-year little lifestyle company that I did just to get my feet wet and dip my toes a little bit into what the world of business was really like on a genuinely organized level. And I was working on another company right before COVID hit. Went under because it was very much based around in-person networking and people being in the same area. Not a lot of that going on right now still. And definitely not back then. During quarantine, I was broke. I was looking for a job, didn't find one, and genuinely didn't have a direction because I just graduated from college. I had put pretty much everything I had into this company. We were looking to raise a pre-seed. We were looking at a term sheet for a convertible note, and then just like that, with a microscopic disease from China, we couldn't get anybody to invest in this anymore because we were not sustainable in that environment that wasn't going to be going anywhere anytime soon. So come fast forward from there all the way to August when I was fully done with college. My lease from my college apartment was up. I had like $2,000 to my name. I had no job. I had no startup that I was confident enough to go all in on. So I was living with my dad, sleeping on his air mattress in his attic. He's telling me get a job. Everybody in my family saying maybe it's time for you to like move on from this whole entrepreneurial pipe dream and all these different things that they tell kids when it's time for them to start paying bills and go on with their lives. And I kind of believed them, but I woke up one day, realized screw that. Even if it's true, I don't want to admit it yet. So I moved to Austin. So I decided to just pack up my bags and feel pretty much put as much of my own stuff as I could in my Kia Spectra. Not a lot, it's a small car, and drive to Austin. And I've been here for about 5 months. Since then, I'm working on a company right now where we work with remote teams, helping them with developing more cohesive and engaged workforces through what I call Spotlight, basically personal profiles. We help them develop an intranet for them to use that learning about working styles, do's and don'ts of working with people, their roles, fun facts, interests and hobbies, and using that as a way as a cohesion tool and engagement tool for them to connect with each other. Then I'm also working on a cardio fitness app, basically looking to gamify cardio by having walking, running, and biking outdoors turn into a giant game of turf war. Give an example of that. If you were to walk around your house, you would be able to use the app, start, run, end run, same way you would for a Nike Run or a Strava or anything like that. But then there's an added twist where you capture that territory on a map. So think about like a Snapchat map. And if you were to walk around an area, you would claim it on this map that everyone else who uses it can see. And they can steal it from you by running or walking or biking around it. You can steal theirs by doing the same. You can build teams, you can challenge other teams or challenges within there, and then just creating a dynamic, social, competitive, collaborative environment around cardio, because cardio sucks.
It's like Pokemon Go meets Splatoon. It's like
exactly. It's exactly what it is. And then the third thing, and this is super random, but I got involved with an esports company from China during quarantine. I had hopped on a 2K tournament they did, because during quarantine, if anybody knows anything about Kentucky, which I imagine none of you do, and there's a reason, because there's not much to know. But one thing I will tell you right now is that we have a very good basketball team. And then not having a March Madness because of COVID is a big deal for us. Because, I mean, what else are we going to do besides drink bourbon and watch horses run in a circle? So we didn't have the ability to have a March Madness, but we figured, hey, they had an esports program they were working on. They had a partnership with this company, Gen huge esports company in China. Professional teams in Fortnite, CSGO, Call of Duty, all these type of teams. And they just actually bought a NBA 2K league team. This is the professional NBA 2K league that the NBA
and for people who do not
owns.
know, NBA 2K is the the game where you can essentially play basketball in a video game in the NBA league. Right.
Yes. So direct NBA port. Basically, if you can't be LeBron in real life, you can play as him and make yourself feel better. That's what I did.
Yeah. And now people compete to see who can be the best fake LeBron James. Like
yeah, exactly. Basically. And so they connected with us. They had this tournament, and they wanted people to be a caster, the same way you would have like Dickie V or Reggie Miller, or other people who comment over these college games. They needed somebody to comment over this tournament. I didn't get paid. It was a 4-day, like 14, 15-hour event, but I was just bored. It was quarantine. I had nothing else to do. So I said, yeah, screw it. Why not? Did it. I did a good job. They reached out to me after, asked me if I was interested in doing more stuff. Again, still bored, still broke. Figured, why not? I'll do it. That ended up turning into an opportunity to work with Old Spice. I got paid a good amount of money to just talk. I'm talking to you right now for free, so if I can get paid for it, I mean, hey, I'm in for it. Right? So I figured, okay, how do I keep doing more stuff like this? And the funny thing is they're actually going to offer me a job to be like a full-time content creator for them and do similar stuff like that.
That's so awesome.
But I don't like jobs. So maybe in an idiotic
he's
way.
Like, let me start my own YouTube channel, and you can pay me to spotlight your content on my YouTube channel.
Exactly.
That's the hustle. That's the hustle. Bucket Patrol. Go subscribe.
Like, hey, you guys can pay me. Like, go subscribe. I don't know. I don't have that many, so I'll notice. And so I was like, yeah, well, hey, instead of paying me a salary and benefits and stuff, why don't you just give me like $1,000 for me to buy some equipment, and I'll make my own YouTube videos and shout you guys out. They said that sounds like a good deal. So I did, started making some stuff, got one of the videos noticed because, like I mentioned, the NBA 2K League is a direct subsidiary of the actual NBA, the same way the WNBA is and the G League is. It's the same thing. So they hit me up and said, oh, we really liked your video. You know, it was really good. We like this kind of content. It's still a very new league. It's only been going for 3 years now. So they're still trying to figure out what it is that they need to do to build this mass audience and become more mainstream. And my video was basically aimed at doing that. It was a explainer type video of how the league works and stuff like that, mixed in with my own personality and humor. And so they hit me up, said, you know, we really like this content, keep up the good work. And I figured, screw it, shoot or shoot. How about we work together? And they're like, oh, we're the NBA. You know, you're not really an established content creator. You got, at that point, I had like 22 subscribers or something like that.
Yeah, and Destin's like, who else? Who else is coming to you? And it's like, I will be your fucking like spokesperson on the internet.
Like, I'm your guy. And they're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, but hey, how about we just hop on a Zoom call, and if you don't like what I have to offer, then we're good. And if you do, then let's talk about it. So we hopped on a call. I pitched them, and they loved it. And so they've been sponsoring my content. And we officially got the paperwork because, you know, the NBA stands for nothing but attorneys. But we finally got the paperwork settled last week, and I'm officially a part of the team for the time being on the pilot sponsorship program. Worked with McDonald's, worked with Gen more on some different activations they've done, and now I'm just going into all these projects full speed, and all I need one of them to stick. You know, if they all three stick, then that might be difficult. But I just need one, so we're gonna see which one sticks first.
It'd be a good problem to have. Yeah. Okay, Destin, let's jump in then. Right, stuff at top, like let's talk a little bit about a teeny bit, because I think the meat of this is going to be, I want to delve into like content creator, like let's discuss industry and like how you see that and all that stuff. But I do want to tease out a little bit about your time as a fellow for Venture for America, just to get your thoughts on like the ecosystem of entrepreneurship, how we help people solve problems. Like, talk to me about what VFA was like, what your experience with them has been like, and like how it has either helped or not, or whatever it is, and just like, yeah, chit chat to me about that for a second.
Yeah, we can definitely chit chat about it. So for anybody who does not know what Venture for America is, it's actually Andrew Yang. If you remember him from the DNC, he was running for president last year.
Gang gang, baby.
Yang gang, baby. Freedom dividend. You know how it gets down. Now
You know how it is.
You know he's running for mayor for New York now, so hopefully he gets done.
Oh yeah, dude. I listened to his podcast, subscribed to his YouTube channel. I flew out to Iowa and canvassed for him. Like I'm in it.
Oh, you're Yang gang.
I'm like gang. I got T-shirts.
Oh man. Oh, you're Yang
because
gang.
to me, Destin, the freedom dividend was like what Lee Jin, she's a really prolific investor and person in the creator economy, talks about like how platforms like YouTube should be giving out like a creator basic income, like for new content creators to be able to make stuff on the platform, and before they have big audiences, like actually have a base level amount to monetize to actually build that business as like baseline investment. And I saw the freedom dividend as that for like every entrepreneur, like in this new world order where like
a month. That would be low.
Yeah, exactly. Think about how many people would step out on their own, try something new, right? Now have the courage to be able to like, okay, I won't be like financially strapped, right? Like, and to me, that was like just done deal. I'm all in. Like, if this happens, it's good for our business. So that's why I bought T-shirts. I told everyone I fucking knew. I flew out to Iowa.
As an entrepreneur, you never know how much. Like, you're gonna have a month where you're doing the best you've ever done in revenue. You might have another month where you don't have any sales and you don't make any money, and having that $1,000 like makes the floor so much more consistent, where you say like, hey, like $1,000, you're not going to be balling, you're not going to buy a Ferrari with that, but that's not the point. The point is to give you a floor of sustainability, so that way you can take chances. You can take chances. You can live cheap. Like for me, I live cheap. Like my apartment is about $800 a month in rent. Gotta pay car insurance, and I eat food from time to time. I don't have any furniture. The only light I have on right now is my lamp, and then like one light on my side, so that way I look like I'm not like partially lit on one, like Two-Face or something like that. But like keep my expenses low, and $1,000 would be pretty much enough to cover my fixed expenses, and then I could just take the rest of my money and just invest in a company, the stock market, all these different things. So I'm a big fan of Yang Gang. But regardless of that, he also has a nonprofit called Venture for America, which is basically the entrepreneurial equivalent of Teach for America. So Teach for America, 2-year rotational programs, recruit recent college grads who want to teach at underfunded, under-resourced areas.
Yeah, resourced,
Yeah, exactly. And so it's the same thing, but for entrepreneurs, we take these college grads who are interested in building startups and ventures and then put them into ecosystems that are developing an entrepreneurial ecosystem. So because it's a recent grad thing, so I actually got accepted like literally a couple weeks before COVID hit. It was like mid-February when I got accepted. And it messed things up because usually it's an in-person training camp that you go to. You get to meet the other fellows. It's like me and 220 other people. And usually it's an in-person thing. Obviously, not a lot of in-person things going on these days, especially with that many people. So I haven't even met most of the fellows. But even still, it was such a great community. We had this super engaged Zoom training camp, which sounds awful. And sometimes it was. But it was like a month of Zooms with everybody working on projects. It's funny enough, it's actually where Run.io actually came about, because we had this project we had to do during training camp where they would give us these scenarios. So our scenario was like, how can we create a social environment around working out during COVID? My idea was, well, why don't we turn it into this socially distant but collaborative game of capture the flag almost, and that's kind of morphed itself into what it is now. So it's a great program. I would say the only thing about it that has made me a little bit less of a fan of it, I still say, hey, go for it. It's a great place to meet people, and your network is your net worth. So anywhere where you can meet amazing people who could be a co-founder, be a technical founder, or just be somebody to support you and connect you to other people in their network. Yeah. Because there's a whole bunch of superstars in there that are all recent or formerly recent grads of a couple of years. They just a great program, but they don't really want you to start a business up front. They want you to get a job with a startup, which is fine too. But I don't believe you can become a great entrepreneur by osmosis. Like that's the equivalent of like if I watch Steph Curry play basketball, like even if I was sitting courtside watching him play basketball, like I'm not going to be able to shoot like him just by watching. You got to actually go on the court and put the shots up yourself, develop the muscle memory, figure out how the ball feels in your hand and how to combat a defender being taller than you and whatnot. And that's kind of my only disillusionment with VFA is that they kind of want you to be a courtside viewer versus a player. But beyond that, I love them. I'm still part of it. I'm in Austin, Texas, which is actually not one of their cohort cities. But
I was about to say, Lexington, Kentucky would be. Austin, Texas, they don't need that much
help. Austin, Texas, they don't need my help. They're good with it. They're good. But I wanted to come to Austin just because there's a lot of opportunity here, and I just believe that chasing opportunity if you think it's worth more than what it's cost to go, it's always worth chasing. So I'm here until I can't be anymore, or until I just decide it's more important than being a VFA. But I highly recommend it for any recent grads who are interested in being a part of a killer cohort of people who are just equally like-minded around entrepreneurship, building stuff, and even the people who don't really want to start stuff. Because there actually are people who don't want to start stuff. They were more comfortable being a number 2 or a 3. They're all so smart and so talented, and you'll definitely find some co-founders or future employees there for sure.
Nice. Righteous. Okay. Shout out VFA. There'll be a link in the description if anybody wants to.
Hit my referral link to get 2 free stocks from Webull.
Good shout out. That and that's a great transition, Destin, because something I do want to talk to you about, something I think about pretty often, is like what it is like to like build a brand on the internet right now, right? Like, and what that's like for new people trying to like find a niche, support a community, build a community, whatever it is. And so you are at like this first, I think you're an exceptional case, because most people don't have like the network tenacity to go have a meeting with the NBA or like all these things that I think you do. But I think there is a lot to be learned from your approach to kind of being a small channel, right? Like, or having a small brand that is Bucket Patrol, because you're playing with 170 subscribers, but you're playing with 170 subscribers and like following a TikTok or whatever, with already sponsorship opportunities, right? Like people have invested in long-term growth of content, which is usually something people have to monetize when they, after their first year and a half, right? When they get to 10K or something, like no one will even look at them before that. So talk to me about what it's been like to build that type of business. Talk to me about what like the ups and downs have been, where you think this kind of like path forward is going for people. Yeah, what's it been like?
So it's been interesting, because there was a part of me like, oh, I want to be a tech entrepreneur. I'm too cool for YouTube. I'm too cool for TikTok and making memes on Twitter and whatnot. And even still, sometimes there's a pushback in my mind. Like on one instance, I'm like pitching something to the former founder of a company that got acquired for 9 figures. And then as soon as I get off that call, I go to my kitchen and I'm like putting my phone up, recording TikToks of me like jamming to 2K music or something like that.
I saw that one.
Yeah. And so it's like this weird duality of being a content creator in a place that is very different than the professional work that I do. Because I even went into this stigma like, oh, the people who are making content, these are like, goofy people who are just, dicking around, having a good time, like not taking.
They're the people that did theater and improv in high school, right?
Yeah, like those type of people. I'm thinking like, there's no business sense behind this. There's no like actual strategy or content plan or anything like that. But I realized, wow, there's a lot that actually goes into this. Like when I made my first
these
TikTok,
are businesses. These are businesses like any other.
And that is something that people who do not make content do not realize, that it is a business. There is a lot going into that you have no idea behind the scenes. There's a reason they picked that video, that song, those clips, those keywords.
They spent fucking 4 hours on that title and thumbnail.
Dude, they spent so much time on that.
Yeah, they're A/B testing, right? Yes, like this is entrepreneurship. This is entrepreneurship, like 101.
Because here's the thing, and this is the thing that I think is really just an academic problem, because entrepreneurship is taught to people as being a 100x growth startup with it's an app for consumers or for big B2B software and all these different kind of things. But nobody talks about entrepreneurship as an artist, as a content creator, even just as a small business owner. Like that is all entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is not all Facebook, Uber, and the next buzzy tech platform. It's so much more.
In fact, most of it isn't. Most of it isn't.
Like literally 0.1% of it is that. And the other 99.9 is all the other stuff. But nobody talks about that because it's not as glamorous, because they want you to create those. They want to be able to invest in those, and they want to cash out when you get acquired or IPO. And that makes sense. Yeah. It's more like you're not going to invest probably in a YouTube channel. Not going to invest in a small business. Not yet. I believe not yet. Yeah. I will, and I think and we're going to talk about this a little bit more with NFTs. I think there's a very interesting opportunity within that for a lot of creators, artists, and a lot of people like that. We can talk about that later. But that's one thing. It's like, it's a business. There's so much that goes into that. Like when I was making my first YouTube video, especially as somebody who had never really made professional content before, like as a marketer, I made like a 30-second ad spot here, or a little 15-minute reel here, or like a recap of an event I did or something like that. But then making content, like the first video I made for the 2K League, about the 2K League, was a noob's guide to the 2K League. And there was so much that went in that, like all this research I had to do on, well, how does the 2K League work? Okay, this is how it goes from here. And then I have to, from all that information, where is the story here? Where is the story?
Yeah. Where's their through line, right?
What's the through line? Like, what is the thing that brings somebody from the beginning of this video to the end and feeling like they're engaged and they're moving forward?
And keeps that watch time graph up, right?
And keeps that watch time graph up, right? And make sure they sustain, because if you like front load it all with information and then the back end is a whole bunch of BS, well, I don't need to watch this anymore. Or if it's boring at first and you don't grab their attention, they're not going to get to the good stuff. So you got to find a way to like engage but make it practical. And then really it's just about, and like all businesses are about this, whether it be a tech startup or YouTube videos, like adding value. And adding value can be so different. Like adding value for people on TikTok is just making somebody's 30 seconds funny, or just filled with something to watch or engaging, or make them feel nostalgic, or teach them something. Like, it doesn't have to be something crazy. And there's value in everything that people do. Everything is a value exchange. Like, they're offering you value in their time that you can use to monetize, and you're offering them value in whatever it is they watch you for. And so trying to figure out what value you want to consistently create with your brand was a big thing. Like, oh, do I want to be like some super educational, informative thing? Or do I want to be kind of jokey, funny? It's like, okay, I'm gonna do both. I'm gonna teach and joke about it at the same time.
I think that's why. Right? This is build, measure, learn, right? This is exactly the same thing.
Exactly. It's like build, fix, optimize. Like, hey, built it. All right, well, sucked about it. Fix it. This is good. Optimize that. Like A/B testing. And once I figure out that the A is the one to run with, how can I streamline that as much as possible and keep that bad boy cranking?
And what people don't understand is creators are so good at this. Like they own this. They are craving like the analytic and information from YouTube. Like YouTube had to completely rewrite YouTube Studio to like make all this stuff happen, because like people think of this like creative classes, right? And they are, because everyone is a complex fucking human. But like, you can be the improv artist that loves to make jokes and all that stuff, and be a really fucking great like marketing analyst on like how things are performing, right? Or great product engineer.
They're independent, but they're not mutually exclusive. Like these content creators that literally their brand is being stupid are not dumb.
They're not. David Dobrik is one of the fucking smart. Well, David Dobrik's in some hot shit right now for good reason, but like, like he is one of the like smartest, most business savvy people in like our generation. Like he has just like cracked code and figured shit out. Like,
let's talk about Logan Paul for a second. Like, what people love.
Oh my god, yeah, another controversial example.
like Logan Paul has been getting shitted on for the longest time. Like him and his brother, whether you like them or not, they're geniuses. This man started an NFT around trading cards of himself and made $3 million in one day. I don't care what you think about the guy. That's fucking genius. That's just genius. And it's one thing, and going back on the content creator piece of it, like it's one thing I'm still learning, because I'm not a natural content creator. Like I love making videos and I have a gift for storytelling, I'd like to think, but putting that into content and then making it commercializable content at that too. Because you can make art, but you need people to see your art. You need them to watch your art. You need to be able to create it in a monetizable way. So like
for the art to be a business, right?
For the art to be a business,
for the art to be a business, that's how it works.
If I was in a situation to make art where I didn't have any financial need, like, I'm just balling and I make these YouTube videos for my own enjoyment. If they had 1,000 views or 10 or a million, I would get the same enjoyment. That'd be great. But I'm not. I'm 22, and I would like to make some money very soon. So I got to make videos that people are going to watch and are going to be monetizable, that the YouTube algorithm is going to shine heavenly on, and that brands are going to want to be a part of and say, oh, this is the kind of personality that I can get behind. So like, I don't cuss in my videos. I keep my stuff clean. I try to stay away from copyright infringing IP as much as possible whenever I can. Anyway, sometimes the jokes write themselves. I got to use them. But and that's just been a challenge, but it's been a very fun challenge. And I think that's a reason why I have been able to grab so many sponsorships and brand alignments so early in my career.
Is you've come in with it as business rather than coming into it as how do I get my art seen? Because like you mentioned this thing of like, why would tech entrepreneur want to start a YouTube channel? I came at we have met together in like a similar place, but I came at it from like the opposite. I like really fucking wanted to be a YouTuber. Like I was like running my own YouTube channel. Like I was trying to grow this educational content, storytelling, all that jazz. And it was just a goddamn fucking slog. And so how I got into this, where like I'm building a business that tries to help other creators like make stuff on the internet better, right? Is because I had like big need, right? I was like, this game is really hard, and I don't feel like it should be this hard. It would be really helpful if I had this thing, and that's where that's the journey I've been on. But I didn't think that I would ever like be here, like starting a startup. Like you mentioned, like not really know what entrepreneurship was. I didn't know that like there was a club or whatever like at my college until my senior year. Like jeez, I was literally working on my thesis project. My thesis project was Lumastic, and I was like making YouTube videos, and so I was putting up posters around that was like, hey, join this website I'm trying to like make like all these things. And somebody in the entrepreneurship department at UVA was like, oh, you're working, you should like come here, like this is what people like you do over here. And I was like, what? Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? like yeah. And so it's been me taking the stuff I was learning as like a video producer, motion graphics artist, whatever, and then trying to bring it into how do I build tech company. And I found that this aspect of like how they really are kind of interoperable. It's a vocabulary difference. That's such an interesting point. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, it's all the same, really. It's one and the same. It's equally as challenging. It's equally as challenging to develop an app as it is to develop a following on TikTok and YouTube. Honestly, don't let anybody tell you that one is better or harder or anything. Like, it's difficult. It's just difficult to build stuff from scratch.
But it's the same process, right? It's you need to find audience, right? Like the finding audience is like talking to your users, right? Like all of this shit is like all the same. It's just like I think we're slowly picking up on it with this like new idea of the creator economy. What people are still trying to figure out a term, and I'm like staking a claim here right now that we should call these people indie entrepreneurs, right? These are not small, right? These are not small businesses, right? They're not like they're like
because they're made with the intent to grow at scale.
Yes, right? Like David Dobrik makes a video and 5 million people see it in 48 hours, right? Like tell me. Business. That's not a small business, like, right? Like, that, like the amount of money that people like Dobrik, Emma Chamberlain, like all these people are like bringing in. These are not small businesses, and so we need a new term for what it is going to be like to build a internet-enabled business that can reach millions of people, but doesn't require a lot of employees, right? Like doesn't require a lot like technical labor. Yeah, and so my stake in the claim here is that we call these indie entrepreneurs.
Hey, we got it on. We have it bookmarked. We have it postmarked.
We have bookmarked TM.
We can get a trademark. TM trademarked, patent pending. Original character. Don't steal.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, Destin. We're diatribing. I want to bring us back to what the people came here for. So talk to me about. Talk to me a little bit about like Bucket Patrol, what's it been like to grow that, but also talk to me about like your content plays on TikTok. Talk to me about like then how that plays into, because I feel like your NFTs, your NFT play is like you being a good steward member of the community, but also you being like early adopter and like kind of paving the way for this community. So like talk to because sorry, not to like expand this question too much, but like NBA 2K esports, right? Good niche and emerging, right? And so you're kind of a leader in this space. So like talk to me about what that's been like, just wherever you want to go with that.
So I'm glad you asked me that question, because that has been the biggest piece of this. And it's something I've been trying to stay aware of, because a lot of my only have 180 subscribers, about 5,000 total views on TikTok. And I started TikTok literally 2 or 3 weeks ago. I just got on there.
Wow.
And it's a small group. Like, it's not a huge game. This isn't League of Legends. This isn't CS:GO. It's not Fortnite. Like, NBA 2K is a big game, but the community within it on the esports lens is still very small. The league is only 3 years old. It's something that the NBA really hasn't even fleshed out yet. But I'm planning on that, and that's why I want to be there, because the people on the foundation and on the floor of something, when it blows up, they are the ones who get to dictate the terms of how things operate in there. And that's what I'm trying to do. Like, I'm a big fan. I don't know if you've read this book, and if you haven't, you definitely should. But Blue Ocean Strategy is literally the book that when I was playing, it's a great book, dude. I love it so much. It's literally in, like,
link in the description. Link in the description.
Hit my referral link, and you'll get a free page. But dude, I love that book. And I remember when I had the idea of starting this YouTube channel, because like I mentioned with this company in China, Genji, they wanted me to come on as a content creator. And I remember this is like July. And I was thinking in my head, like, honestly, I don't want to work for them, because at that point I was so neutral on esports. Like, I didn't really get it. I wasn't that much of a gamer. Like, my Xbox was collecting dust in my closet. I wasn't playing that thing anymore. And I just felt like I don't want to do that as a career. But it would be a nice side project. So I would love to start my own kind of mini venture of a channel or some kind of content creation plan. And I read this book, Blue Ocean Strategy. I've read it like 3 times. And the whole gist of it is, what does it take to develop a completely new category or develop a market from scratch? So, looking at something like Ford, where before, like, Henry Ford didn't invent cars, but he invented a democratizable car that everybody could use, instead of it just being a luxury good that it was at the time with the companies that did make cars. And so he created this market of a democratizable common man car. Elon did the same thing with Tesla. Then you look at Cirque du Soleil. Before Cirque du Soleil, it was like the carnival that you see all the time, where it's just like animals and the clowns and all these different things going on with acrobatics and whatnot. And they changed it a little bit and made it this more streamlined, no animals, no clowns, like fully acrobatic thing with a storyline embedded in it, versus just being a whole bunch of shenanigans. And they blew up the market by doing that. And I looked at my content the same way. Like, okay, there are people on YouTube who make 2K videos and have millions of subscribers, but it's them playing, it's them being toxic and yet raging and yelling and, all those kind of things that are funny and they clip well. But there's not really any content here that's more so creative and story based. And so I figured, what if I created some content like that? Because that doesn't exist. But something like that is a lot easier for people to get into. And it teaches them about it at the same time, too. Like, it's a fun, engaging thing to watch, but it also teaches you about it and invests you in the product itself and brings in new fans who are interested to learn about the thing that I'm talking about, which then grows the mainstream audience and eventually will help it grow into something. And I think that's why the 2K League was so fascinating, because they watched my content and said, dude, this is exactly what we need to be doing, because we're not making content like that now. Nobody's making that. And I think even when you're small as a content creator, it's so easy to think, well, I'm just going to do the same thing that everybody else is doing who has a lot of followers and who has brands working with them and stuff like that. But then if you do the same thing they do, you're literally them, but with less followers and less subscribers and less resources and less knowledge probably. So why would they pick you? You got to be uniquely different in some way or shape.
They talk about that as like a Me Too product. Right.
Yeah, it's a copycat product. Like, what
it's a Me Too product.
Yeah, like there's nothing about that it's satisfying or compelling. And obviously, you can do that and you can find success. Like, people are picking up on trends and they're doing stuff and building a following around that. Like, of course, but to build something that's unique and makes you stand out as an individual brand, it has to be something that is inherently you. Like, it has to be something like, oh, that is exactly something that Drew would do. Or Lumastic. That is a Lumastic thing. That is a bucket control thing. That is a whatever thing that just fits you and is identified as you. And being in
brand
the
identity,
2K, brand identity,
Yeah.
exactly. And so for the 2K League and 2K in general being such a new ecosystem, a new industry, a new audience, being at the forefront of making content like that, growing a following, being able to work with these brands and showing a validation of success, I think more people will come in and do similar things. They'll bring in new fans. And then once it does hit that critical mass, and I'm already on the floor, having been there for the foundation, I think if we're talking just economically, if we're talking in terms of following, if we're talking just in terms of being able to influence the direction of where the industry goes, that's where I want to be. And that's the direction I'm taking with my content.
Yeah, that's huge. And that's something that I loved so much of what you said. Something that right, sparked in me was this idea of like the being in on the floor. It's like the idea of like you're there as the wave is coming, right?
Yes.
And I've been talking to like our team about how we are now at like the precipice of a big wave that is like people are starting to understand that independent creators are not just artists, right? Mm-hmm. Like these are businesses. They can build huge businesses, and they're going to need to be supported in super unique ways in comparison to our old ways of doing business, right?
Yes.
And so like companies like, and I've felt like I've been there for a while. The thing that like made me feel like, okay, people are coming in is I had an advisor from Lighthouse send me an email that was about Stir. Have you heard of this company?
I have not.
Okay, so Stir is basically like accounting for creators. So like think QuickBooks for creators. And so it's really easy to like split YouTube revenue with like an editor that you work with. Basically, it's like accounting for like when you are all freelancers, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But you're working together on a product. And so yeah, my advisor sent me this thing and was like, oh, this is like kind of the space that you're going in. And I was like, yeah, like people are waking up. There are Forbes articles being written about how like, yeah, QuickBooks isn't actually great if like you are a person that has made a product and you get paid out and then have to pay out a bunch of other people, right? And it's the same thing with like what we're going for, right? Which is like essentially collaboration software, right? Like Slack is not great for you to run your creator business if you have to be in 6 of them for all the collabs you're doing and for like 6 different teams that are working on your merch store versus like your actual like editors for your content, like all this shit. And so yeah, I feel like there's this big wave building, and what makes me afraid about it, right, is that like I feel like we're at this point where it's I've been waiting for the wave. I've felt really like I'm paddling, I'm surfing, right? But it's like the fear of like, oh, this is going to be really big and scary, and I'm wondering, right, like how to get over that fear of like, okay, we now have to ride, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a scary time because you know what happens when you have this emerging market and then it finally hits that traction that is necessary for it to be mainstream enough for the big guys to come in. It's inevitable. It's going to be this corporate shakeout where the fakes are kicked out and then it becomes more commercialized. It becomes more automated, more streamlined. There's like a specific way you do business. And it's basically survival of the fittest. Like who is going to be able to capitalize on this opportunity?
Yeah, now survive the wave.
Survive the wave, because the wave is going to
survive the wave.
People are going to fall. So people are going to fall off their surfboards. Other people are going to get caught up in the tide. They're going to fall over themselves, or they're going to get scared. They're just going to run away. Who's going to actually be there at the end when it finally? I guess what's the word I'm looking for? Troughs? Is that the word for waves? I'm from Kentucky.
I don't know. Like,
it's something like that.
Who's going to be able to slide right onto the beach, right?
Who's going to survive when it's all over? And that's such a scary thing. And even I've been thinking about that. Like, what if somebody does come behind me? Because there's then that late mover advantage that some of these people can get, where they're like, "Oh, I watched the Mastic screw up on this thing. I can develop
exactly
from jump to already be able to just solve that problem, not have to go and pivot. We can just come out from the get-go and do that, and we can also incorporate the things that they've done well and mix it into ours, and then also offer some kind of unique differentiation. Even for me, it's like, oh, well, what if one of these big YouTubers sees the videos I'm making, sees them get traction, and then he starts doing the same exact thing that I'm doing, and now I'm obsolete because he's doing the same thing I'm doing, but he's a more recognizable brand, or she's she has better editing skills, she has a team behind her, she can be more consistent on uploading or making TikToks, and she's cuter, and that just goes well in creator content or something like that, and people are just gonna go to her stuff. Even with the NBA, like I'm working with the NBA, and it's like, okay, I'm working with the NBA and I'm helping with their content strategy, but at the same time, like, am I setting myself up to not be able to make my own videos because I'm helping the 2K League make videos of my own style as a partner? Like, these are questions that come to mind. So it's this tough toss up of like, you want people to come in, but with more people coming in and legitimizing it, it's more competition and more potential people who are going to steal what made you unique and make you obsolete.
Yeah. And to me, it's I have like a weird thing with like competitors, like thinking about competitors. It kind of like drives some people wild, but when I find other people that are playing in this space, I'm like, thank fucking God, and I sent them an email. I'm like,
okay.
hey, like, you're working on this thing. That's cool. I'm working on this too. Like, we should talk. Because
Right.
I have this, like, I come at this because I want someone to solve the problem, right? And
So you're
like,
coming
as
at it from
much
the
as
angle of you just want somebody to actually make this because it's a
yes,
problem that you want solved in your life. And even if it's not
yeah,
you just
exactly.
want to
And
help
like,
empower the industry.
yes, and like I obviously care if it's us, right? I have a vested
Of
interest in
course.
like us winning. But
Right.
like I think about this as like it needs to be solved. If we are not the people to win, I want to make sure that the people that win do it right. Right.
Right.
And so like let's
Right.
talk, like let's discuss, let me tell you everything that like, I mean not everything, but like let's talk about like the failures and like what's going on and all these things so that
Right.
so one of us can make the thing that's right, and actually
Right.
like solves this problem for the creator industry. Like
Right.
yeah, so that's still a little weird. But when we're talking about emerging markets and the fear and all that stuff, let's talk about NFTs.
Yes.
Yes. And so run us through what non-fungible tokens are. And
Okay.
yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay, so just to keep it very high level, because when I first heard about these, I had no idea what fungible even meant. Okay, so fungible, right? So fungible basically means interchangeable. So like a dollar, if it's my dollar, it's Drew's dollar, it's your dollar, I can't speak. Then they're all the same. They're interchangeable. There's nothing about them that has unique value. But with a non-fungible token, it is something that is unique and discrete. So think about like sports cards, like a rookie Michael Jordan that's signed versus another Michael Jordan card that's not signed. It might be him from like year 5, or both Michael Jordan cards made the same way. It might even be made by the same company, but their unique value is so different. And that's
Yeah.
basically where this concept of NFT comes in, where they take this non-fungible concept and they mix it in with some kind of digital collectible of some sort. The most popular one, well, technically the most popular one is Crypto Kitties, and that's the one that like was the first one, I believe. And these people are literally buying these virtual kitties that is backed all by the blockchain with Ethereum's infrastructure, and people can buy these digital collectibles, and the blockchain basically mints these. So it's like pretty much having a verified card from somebody, or having a jersey signed by LeBron and having like proof that it actually was signed by LeBron or something like that. And then taking that and putting that into a minted form on the blockchain that you can prove to somebody like, I own this product. And then from there, you can just sell it at some discrete, unique value, which is interesting to me because at first I heard that, I was like, dude, that's stupid. Why don't I just go there and I like download the image or like screenshot it or whatever, and I own it too? It's like, okay, cool. But from that logic, okay, you could go to the Louvre and you could take a picture of Mona Lisa and technically you own it, right? You have it, but it's not the same. It's not the verifiable version. It's not something that was created by the creator that was given to you. It is like a fake, basically. If anything, that's a good thing that people can do that, because they can increase the awareness of your thing that you have and say, oh, hey, yeah, that meme that you saw or that image that you keep seeing that everybody keeps talking about, I own that. And it boosts the value of it. And so even though there's a ton of them, like there's a whole bunch of them with art. So we can talk about like Masterworks. We could talk about Crypto Kitties. The one that I specifically am more focused on as an NBA fan, obviously working on 2K and stuff, is NBA Top Shot, which is the NBA's beta NFT that they started around moments, which are quite literally basically taking a moment in basketball. So let's say LeBron James dunking on somebody, and then minting that in the blockchain, and then selling the video of that moment and saying you can be one of 3,000 people to own this LeBron James dunk on obligatory European big number 55, whatever.
Yeah. So,
and people are paying so much money for these. Like the record actually was set the other day where somebody paid $208,000 for this LeBron James dunk. Even myself, I was like, oh, bro, there's no way. Like, how does it even hold value? But then I saw the price just ticking up and up and up and up. And I figured, okay, I'll play along. I bought a couple cards. So I bought a moment. I bought this Danilo Gallinari. I don't know if we were watching this and how big of NBA fans they are, but Danilo Gallinari, he's a good player. Like, he's not an all-star. He's not an all-time great or anything like that. He's a slightly above average starter. But bought his moment for $65, February 27th. Later that same day, I sold it for $150 within the same day. You ain't getting those kind of returns unless you're buying GameStop these days. So I mean, so it's legit, and also it's just an interesting way for businesses, for artists, for creators to create a monetizable stream that they control for their art. And that's the part that I like the most. They're finding a way to take back control from these art dealers or from these subsidiaries that handle the engagements of these marketplaces and stuff like that. So I love it, honestly. It's super complex. I'm still learning how it all works. But the concept and what I know so far makes me super excited, and I hope it sticks around.
Yeah. How I explained it to my girlfriend was basically like, what if I could like sign my YouTube video? Right?
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Right? What if I, as the artist, could say like, I'm signing the YouTube video. You can have like, anyone could have the YouTube video, but if you want it signed, right, you can pay this amount of money, right? And I think it is incredible for obviously the reasons we outlined, but also I think that NFTs can solve a big problem with digital content where it's. I was talking to a member of ours who's another YouTuber, and he was basically saying like, how do I know that the stuff that I put up on Lumastic won't just like get stolen or something, right? Like we give you this like open place to share feedback or like get feedback and share what you're working on and all these things. Right. How do I know that it won't just like get stolen? And I had like a bad answer in that session, but the extended part of my answer was like, someone needs to solve that problem by allowing like creators to digitally sign their work, and so then we can basically like go through a log history of like, hey, this thing was signed at this date and all that stuff. It's like as if you have like a written documentation that this thing that I made is mine, right? And so you could go to a court or whatever.
Basically,
yeah, it's IP protection for the internet.
Digital content. Yeah.
Yes, and what's wild is I did not know about NFTs until that night, where I was Googling like, hey, how could someone solve this problem? And I didn't realize there was this whole industry like now being created around this concept. And I think it's incredible. It has such huge potential. I can see why like every fucking investor is investing. It's right there. Crypto is still like the new thing to invest in, but like NFTs are now like people are throwing like money at NFT companies.
I mean, I think when we talk about that, I think, and this is something I even said back in like 2018 and stuff like that. But I think as cool as cryptocurrency is, I think the more interesting technology is blockchain. Like I just think
the actual underlying way of decentralizing and signing digital goods, right? Like digital files, stuff on the internet. Like,
and I think it changes everything. Like imagine there's this book that if anybody who really is interested in blockchain and how it will change the way the economy works, by George Gilder. It's called Life After Google. And it's basically how blockchain will basically destroy the biggest companies in the world and create this ridiculous creative destruction. Like, you know, down with the corporate overlords.
Burn it down.
Burn it down, baby. The proletariat lives, bitch. Basically, that's what it's all about. Because you think about like Google, you think about Instagram, you think about all these social media platforms and all these big data companies. Blockchain is literally made to fuck all of them, basically. And imagine if the blockchain becomes the central infrastructure of how people search for information. Like you already see, like people are so worried about privacy. Blockchain is literally, up to this point, you know, quantum computing might actually change that, but we'll see about that. But at this point, blockchain is basically an unencryptable. It's like encrypted. You can't unencrypt that basically, unless you have like some quantum computers, and that's not readily available technology for the average consumer or even the average company. So with blockchain, a lot of these big data companies can't even get their biggest product. So what would that do to the economy? And even is that a good thing? Because part of me is like, oh yeah, you down with the bourgeoisie, yeah. Right. But then at the same time, if Google can't monetize your search history, or if
they can't monetize your YouTube videos,
right? Like
if they can't, literally, there's this whole concept, right? Even separate from blockchain, about like advertising being a big bubble, right? And the fact that like there's now a lot of research that shows that advertising doesn't really work like these targeted ads like aren't really that effective, like all these things. And so like, what does that mean then for the what?
I think consumers are too smart these days. Like they don't really buy from brands; they buy from
Exactly. We buy, and it's different when like a content creator is like doing a brand partnership, right? Because now it's like I'm saying, hey, I bought this thing. They approached me, whatever. Like I vouch for it. You should buy it if you want it, right? Like that's different than these like weird targeted advertising schemes that don't actually seem right by the data to work. And I was talking to my next door neighbor about this, who is not really in this industry at all, just like likes to hear me talk about it, I think, hopefully. And he was like, yeah, like I'd be great. I hate Facebook. And to me, I hate Facebook, right? Like I think that like advertising has fucked the internet. But what is really bad, if this is a big bubble, is that the people that are going to get hit the worst, right, are creators, people who have tried to build their entire business around like providing value to these platforms, who then extort their artistic expression for like that shell out of cash, right? And so as quickly as possible, if like I can do call outs for startups, people need to like make startups that help creators get brand partnerships. Like we need to do a lot of stuff, and hopefully Stir is working on that, as well as the accounting software, now that they have like $5 million from Andreessen Horowitz and all these people. But like yeah, it's like it's a big problem, because I agree with you. As much as I'm like down with the bourgeoisie, right, our entire economic infrastructure of like how we run the internet right now is based on all these things, and it would really suck for that to collapse.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, as great as Google is and how it feels like, oh, it's this free platform that we're being provided out of the kindness of Larry Page and Sergey Brin's heart, they're doing it because they can monetize the things that you look for. So as soon as they can't do that, they're not going to let you do it anymore, or they'll find a way to charge you for it. So then it comes in like that net neutrality argument and all these different things that people don't want to have to think about or deal with. So I think it's one of those things where innovation is great and everybody likes to think about all the positives of it, but then there's that creative destruction. That is inherent. Like, something's got to go. Like it's sadly enough, like innovation is generally a zero-sum game. Like you bring something new, you lose something old. So
capitalism, baby.
Oh yeah, the most efficient, effective system in the world. I actually like capitalism. It's not perfect, but I haven't found another system that is better. But at the same time, it's not perfect, and there's some things about it that suck. So
yeah, when I make TikToks, I describe the audience niche we're going for as anti-capitalist entrepreneurs, like people who like play in this space and can see the benefits, but also understand that there are a whole fuck ton of problems that need to be solved.
I'm
right?
a progressive. I label myself as a progressive capitalist. Like I'm a fan of Robert Reich. If you read any of his stuff. He has this great book. Yes, so he is basically an anti-capitalist. He's not really socialist, but he calls capitalism on its bullshit. He has his book that I think you would love called Saving Capitalism, where he talks about all the ways that capitalists screw over people and they basically rig the system to be planned.
God, I'm gonna have to make a fucking Amazon affiliates account, my guy. You're dropping books left and right. I'm gonna get that affiliate link.
I know I need to start getting paid for this. Jesus Christ, man! Like,
we
need to be able to track.
Download those on Audible.
Buy based on this.
Yeah. Use code Lumastic on Audible. Buy the book.
buy the book. Buy now with my link, Bucket Patrol at audible.com or something like that. But either way though, it's a great book. And capitalism itself is a great system when it's allowed to do what it's supposed to do. But you've seen we're seeing it right now. Capitalism doesn't work as well as it could, because the government doesn't allow it to actually do its job. They want to play God in this capitalistic society. Like, look what happened with GameStop. Like, all these hedge funds that are literally driving down GameStop stock are getting bailed out, billions of dollars.
Yep.
But then when they screwed all of us in 2008, who bailed us out? Nobody. Yep. But then on top of that, they froze the trading of GameStop because they didn't want the normal retail investor to be able to just make money. But then they talk about it being a free market that's accessible to everybody. And those same people in hedge funds talking about we need to cut off that morning coffee and drink in avocado toast. But then when people when they put matters in their own hands and they actually find a way to game the system at their loss, all of a sudden we're the bad guys. We're screwing the market, and we're doing the same things that they
Exactly.
did. And that's why I think capitalism sucks, because they just don't allow it to actually shake things out. They don't
Yeah,
let
because
companies
the
actually
market,
go out of business.
yeah, the market is only free to those who own it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, Destin, how are we gonna close out this conversation? You know, we're hitting an hour, right?
Okay.
I think there's been some fucking great shit in here, my guy. And yeah, so we always close out with asks, right? And so where can people find you? How can they help? Like what are we gonna do to help Destin George Bell become like the fucking next mogul of like whatever you want to be the mogul of all the projects you're working on? How can we be helpful as a community?
As a community, I think just connecting with me would be great. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Destin George Bell. I love connecting. I love building my network, and everybody who's on Lumastic and knows this guy is probably an A+ character. So I would love to meet some more A+ characters. So add me on LinkedIn, Destin George Bell. You can follow me on social media. Specifically on my content creator page around esports, which is Bucket Patrol Man. So it's bucket like the bucket, patrol like patrol, and then man as man. You know how to spell these words. They're all simple. Just cut the spaces and you figured it out. Then outside of that, I mentioned also this is another thing too. I don't know if this is the right. Actually, it probably is, because these people are creators, especially. But I'm looking for devs for the running app I mentioned. Like we're getting a lot of traction.
Cool.
We won a pitch competition. We got signed up for some other ones. We've got some interested parties for sign up. We got about 250 people interested pre-sign up, at least intent to do so when we launch a beta.
Super cool.
And we have the former founder of Map My Run, who got acquired by Under Armour, who is also interested in advising. So we're getting some traction. But I don't have any strong devs on my team consistently. And I would love to be able to work with some of those people, because I am a content creator, a marketer, a salesperson, all the other soft skills that do not require putting lines of code on a black screen. And I need help with that. So anybody who can do that, I would love to connect with you.
Sick. All right, Destin, this has been an amazing conversation. All links to support this man's creative endeavors will be down below. The books, everything we talked about. Destin, thank you so much for being here, for doing this. I wish you all the best. Let's stay in touch. I already have somebody in mind. I'm going to ping you with an email connection to somebody who's looking for like projects to work on. So no worries. Yeah, thanks for being here, and thanks for letting us spotlight your sparks, right? So
yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, all right. Adios.